Hi, everyone, and welcome to the General Collective reading for the week of August 21st through the 27th. This is I Am Illuminated Tarot reading for Soul Illumination. So hi, everyone, and welcome. Now, I'm doing this a little differently this week, mostly for the sake of time management. Me and my husband are just about to host a plethora of family and friends. We're hosting a celebration in a couple weeks, so there's a lot to get done. But I also still want to get out the collective reading because I love doing this. I think it's very helpful for myself and helpful, hopefully, for you. So I'm going to start by pulling, like I normally do, the two main themes for the week ahead. And then I'm going to pull additional cards for each sign so we can get a little deeper into the message. If you'd like to jump right to your sign's reading, you can click on the timestamp in the description box below and you can view any of the signs that you're interested in looking at. But first, I'm going to jump right in and we're going to take a look at what these two themes are. So what can we expect for the week ahead? What do we need to know about the week ahead here? I hope all of you are having a wonderful week. We are transitioning this week from Leo season and moving into Virgo season, which I always enjoy because there's a sense of kind of going from that summertime playful energy for those of you in the northern hemisphere, obviously, but then kind of moving into that beautiful place of, okay, let's get grounded. We're starting to move into fall. There's that sense of kind of, taking stock, really getting into that harvest energy, which is beautiful. So right off the bat, we have Imagine, one of my favorite cards in this deck, actually. Beautiful energy for this week. It comes with the number 20, and that number breaks down to the number 2 in numerology, which is the number of intimate connection. It can be harmonizing in relationships. It can just be the energy of harmony as well. But it can also be the energy of how we bring ourselves into a situation where there's another person involved at the same time. So it's kind of like bringing two eyes together if you think about it like that. I love the energy of Imagine. When we think of, I think for myself, what I believe personally, one of the greatest gifts of being a human is our imagination, that we have this ability sometimes to see beyond what is just in our current experience. And we do that through our imagination. We can create whole worlds and go to new lands. And we can even connect with people that are maybe not close by to us as well. There's a sense of our imagination holds almost, well, we like to say it holds no boundaries and it's limitless, but it almost is something that can help us transcend our physical being limitations. It's strange, but a story is coming up for me around my childhood. So as a kid, my family, we didn't travel, let's say, outside of the country. We did a lot of traveling within the country, going to see our national parks and things along that line. But I always wanted to travel to other locations outside of the U.S., which is where I grew up. And I would avidly read books when I was younger about people going on adventures in other areas of the world just so that I could, in my imagination, travel to those places. So there's a sense this week of really tapping into that kind of energy, of letting your imagination show you images of what can be for yourself, or just allow your sense of fun to come through on that space, because sometimes our imagination can guide the way to something that just comes in out of the blue that we didn't even, there's a sense here of, I get the feeling almost as like this week we're going to stumble across something that piques our imagination. We might read a little excerpt from something and we might want to know more. We might get curious and all of a sudden we start to daydream when we're at work about something that we had just read about. And there's a sense of going with that energy this week, because there might be something that comes in that is that kind of key, that first step as we all start this new cycle that we've been building towards, and which really culminated this last week. And we're now finally embracing this new cycle as we move into this week. So we also have Judgment. This is a very powerful card. This is a card that represents kind of irrevocable change for each one of us individually in our life. Judgment does, as you can see here in this image, there's a sense of being called up from the dead as a new version of yourself. There's a sense of a finality to the version of ourselves that has been, and we are now being called up to something greater, something better. And I like these two cards coming in together because there's that sense of being able to imagine this new version of you. That sometimes it's very difficult. I feel like we've all kind of been mourning this last version of ourselves, or mourning something that happened in that last cycle. But as we start to move into a new, fresh cycle, we can now look forward as this new version that we've now kind of made peace with, and really look to see, well, if I'm going to, it's almost like the caterpillar realizing that they're the butterfly. And now there's that sense where the butterfly is gaining its footing and understanding that it's no longer an earthbound creature, it can fly. And there's a sense now of letting your imagination go to that higher level of maybe the caterpillar actually never realized that other creatures flew. But now that he's here, he can take a look and say, oh my gosh, well, now that I know creatures can fly, including myself, well, now my imagination can go another level. And I'm going to expand my vision for myself, and I'm going to travel. I'm going to play around with those what ifs in an imaginary state that I'm in currently, and see what can come in for me. To see, it's almost like when I think about when I used my imagination as a kid and I was reading those books. When I got older and actually traveled to some of those places, no amount of reading was ever going to really fill in the details of the reality of that experience. So there's a sense here of getting into that place of wonder and awe that even you can use your imagination to imagine, kind of great new horizons for yourself. But get ready to be awed as we start to ground that in our physical experiences, as we start to move towards what we imagine for ourselves, and how when we actually experience it, is it going to be so much better? All those little details filled that our own minds can't create. I'm also getting just the sense of, when I was younger as well, I was really interested in Titanic, in the concept of the whole Titanic tragedy. And also I was obsessed with dinosaurs, as most young kids are. But I can tell you, being a kid in the 90s, when I saw that movie Titanic, and when I saw the movie for the first time, Jurassic Park, when I was a little kid, I can tell you that it literally blew my mind in a way, because I could not imagine the things that I experienced through those movies. So there's a sense here of, but yet someone's imagination was able to bring those to life. And there's a sense here that there's something within yourself that you can imagine that maybe in looking to bring it down to earth or to share it with others will actually be that aha moment for them as well, and impact them on that level. That just came through really strongly, actually. So for some of you, this may be a chance to really tap into your own creative potential this week, and to really start to see how that can benefit the collective experience. Okay, so now I am going to jump right in, and we are going to start with Leo, since we are still technically in Leo season for like 1 or 2 days here as we move into Virgo season. So Leo, let's see, I'm going to timestamp this. Okay, let's see what is coming up in the cards for you. All right. So we're first going to jump in to see what's going on with Imagine. What are you imagining, Leo? That's the first energy that came up here. So what does Leo need to know about their imagination, and maybe imagining something new for their new self? Okay, so you have the Queen of Pentacles. I love that. So it's almost like imagine what you can nurture into existence with the Queen of Pentacles. This is a motherly energy. This is one of really nurturing. She's patient, she's focused, she dedicates her time and energy towards this one pentacle, and she understands. You can see her eyes are closed, and she's at peace. She knows she's quietly growing something into existence. And so maybe for some of you, this is that week where you get to really imagine what you want to nurture. Or maybe you're already nurturing something, and you get to imagine what this thing will be. Maybe you're nurturing a creative project. Maybe you're nurturing a child and you get to really lean into what this child's life will look like at some point, or what you're going to be able to share or teach this child. It could also be, if this is a creative project, it could be something along the lines of just getting into that place of imagining where maybe this is the first step you're taking this week. And where is this creative project going to take you? What is it going to create? What is the impact it could have for somebody? Really beautiful energy, Leo. I mean, this could be anything in your life. You could be nurturing a career path. And this could be the first step in that. You could be nurturing a vision of the home that you want to eventually build or move into. Okay, we also have the Page of Swords, which I like that energy with this. There's a sense here of getting very curious, of opening yourself up to what you don't know. That as you get ready to dedicate your time and energy to nurture something into existence, there's also this energy of, with the imagination, of letting your imagination soar, that there may be new interesting ways to apply. This could almost be like, let's say this is a child and you're getting excited about, what is this child's life going to look like, or getting excited about, taking family trips, or again, teaching something to your child. This can be where maybe you start to kind of just open yourself up to, trying new things. Maybe you're looking at, I always did this with my family, but you know what? I would love to do this with my child, and how can I make that possible? And it's almost like opening yourself up to things that maybe you yourself didn't even experience, and yet now you're kind of touching on, oh my gosh, I never thought of that. Or if this is a creative project, it could be really just getting into that place of curiosity, of maybe where is this going to go? I had an original plan, but I'm going to open myself up to maybe a new way that I can apply this creativity to some aspect in my life and nurture it in that way. Let's see what's going on for Judgment. But I do like the openness. Anytime we have Page of Swords and imagination or imagine come through, this is like, get curious as to what you don't know. Just open yourself up to whatever wants to come in. And we have Three of Swords for Judgment. I think finally many of you are healing a broken heart. You're moving on from something that, was difficult. With Judgment, this could be around the death of a loved one, or it could, instead of being literal death, it could be just the death of a way of being. It could be the death of a relationship. It could be, and I'm associating death because Judgment really does bring in that energy of death. That again, a part of ourself we can't go back to that version of ourselves. But the Three of Swords comes in and says that there was some heartache and wounding in the person who was before you are who you are now as a changed person. And I think for many of you, you get the chance now to kind of put that pain to rest, and you get to look forward now to nurturing something beautiful. But it's about being creative now. It's about letting your imagination soar beyond that heartache. I really get the feeling here that for many of you, you have truly healed. And this is now where you get a chance to say, okay, now that I've healed, now that I have had to go through a difficult situation, but I'm on the other side of that, well, now what am I willing to open myself up to nurturing? There can be a fear sometimes of loss. Like when we go through heartache or loss like that, it can be a fear of wanting to commit to something again, right? With the Queen of Pentacles, there's an element of committing to nurturing something, to growing something. And for some of you, there could be this time now where you realize, okay, I'm ready for that commitment. I'm ready to nurture. I'm ready to get curious again about how my life is going to grow, and in what areas will it grow, and I'm ready to do so with an open, vulnerable, and healed heart. I love that. All right, Leo, I hope you all have a wonderful week ahead, and I look forward to reading for you next week. Bye. Okay, Virgo, let's jump right in here for you. So we're going to be taking a look at the energy of Imagine, which was the first card that came out, and Judgment. So we're really being asked this week to tap into our imagination, let our imagination soar, but specifically in relation to looking at, with Judgment, where a past version of ourselves is gone. and where we are being called up now as a new version of ourselves, and where we really can't go back to the past. Judgment really does speak to that integral change that we go through, where it can be something as simple as, you've graduated from college and now you're no longer a college student. And yes, you may go back to college at a certain point in time, but at this point, you can never go back to get that, like maybe that same degree again. There's a sense here of you are now a college graduate officially, and you could never go back to not being a college graduate. This could be as big and life-changing as having a child, and you could never go back to someone who has not had a child. You are now a parent and will forever be a parent. So there's a sense of that coming through for all of us, but really understanding now what part of ourself has to be released to allow this new part of ourself to be called up literally from the dead as the new and more empowered version. And where can we allow our imagination to soar this week to start to see the opportunities of this new version of ourselves? Sometimes we limit ourselves when we're too connected to the old. And when we finally release that old vision, it's almost like, oh my gosh, I've been, trying to make that past version fit. And I realize, wow, something's changed. If I just give into it, or if I just accept it, now a whole world is opening up for me. So for Imagine, we have Ace of Pentacles and Justice. Wow. For some of you, there is a contractual agreement coming in. Ace of Pentacles is a new opportunity, a tangible physical opportunity. It could be a little bit of money. It could be a business opportunity. Somebody says, hey, I have this business idea. Do you want to come in with Justice and sign a contract and become a business partner with me? This could be something where the fresh start is a marriage. Or building a home with someone, or you name it. But with justice can signify, especially with the pentacle, the making or breaking of a contract. So for some of you, this could be literally that you are looking to break a contract to start a new beginning, or this could be where you are looking to sign a contract to start a new beginning. So this week is really integral when we think about how we are planting seeds for the future vision for ourselves, and you really can get into that energy with Imagine that future vision for yourself, really looking at what you're committing to, or what you might need to release as well, because sometimes it's as simple as releasing ourselves from a contractual agreement, be this a work obligation, be this a relationship, be this even a commitment to a family member, or anything else where there is something where you feel contractually or just, spiritually obligated, that sometimes when we release those ties, the fresh start that comes in is now allowing us to, again, be not tethered to that old idea, that old concept, that old workplace, that old relationship, whatever it is. But this could also be where you are committing and signing on the dotted line. So this could be like you are literally signing for maybe the home that you're moving into, and you're like, okay, I'm signing the contract, and now I'm a homeowner. It could be something like that too. All right, so for Judgment, we have Temperance. I love the Temperance card here because there's a sense of divine timing when this card comes in. There's also a sense of moderation, of, just kind of taking everything in. There's that harmony component that comes in with this. There's also the number 14 that comes in with this card in the tarot. And the number 14 is freedom through change. Freedom through change. And that change is when we, as you can see here, when we really temper our emotions with our passions, we bring those two things together and we alchemize them into something new. And that's really what I think many of you are doing. This could be that fresh start of really being able to take something that you're passionate about, something that you're also emotionally engaged with, and really this is starting a new cycle where whatever this new beginning is, it's going to be a beginning to something where you get to bring emotional investment and your passions into it together. There's a sense of maybe having had to go through a learning cycle of realization of what, we can't just do something without emotional investment. This would be like just taking action without caring what we're doing, and that can be where we just become a robot in our life. Or it can be where we are just feeling things too much and taking no action from them, and that can be very difficult as well, so that you also just become kind of this like trapped being. So this is a fresh start of being able to temper both, but also there is that sense of divine timing this week. So for some of you, there is a divine opportunity that's coming in, and it is something that could require a contract, the making or breaking of a contract, to be able to pursue and capitalize on. Beautiful. Just keep that motto in mind, Virgo: freedom through change. All right. Have a wonderful week ahead, everyone. I'll see you next week. Bye. Okay, Libra, let's jump right in here and see what we got going on for you. So the two cards that came up, if you didn't watch the original pull, were Imagine and Judgment. So there's definitely this theme going on right now this week about really looking at carrying over from the theme from last week, where we were all looking at a story that really needed to be released. Now we're really looking at not only what old story needed to be released about ourselves, that we're now writing a new story, but this week we're really looking at embracing the new version of ourselves that is really being called up, but also being in a place to release the old version of ourselves, the version of ourselves that the Judgment card usually speaks to, that needs to kind of die away, so that we can really fully embrace imagining this new future for this new version of ourselves. Okay, so let's jump right in. So for Imagine, we have the Seven of Cups that came out right off the bat. And the Seven of Cups is one of, it can be opportunity. It can be a lot of opportunity, kind of opening yourself up to the possibility of things that might be emotionally fulfilling for you in some way. And then we have the the Page of Pentacles and the Star. So there's a sense here of really opening yourself up to opportunities in love, opportunities in finding maybe an emotionally satisfying career path, opening yourself up to maybe emotionally fulfilling friendships. But with the Page of Pentacles and the Star, this is also asking you to say, what if you shared something about yourself? The Page of Pentacles is the individual who goes out kind of curiously and optimistically. There's a sense of childlike kind of innocence that comes with the Page of Pentacles. But this is the individual who wants to know more information. They bring their pentacle and they want to take it out there so that they can gain more information in a direct experiential way. Meaning, this would be like you have a skill set and you're like, I don't know what maybe I can do something more with this. And so this is where you start to then speak with people. With the Star coming in, you might say, this is my dream. This is what I'd ultimately love to achieve with what I'm currently doing, but I don't know really how to get there, or I don't know how to segue from what I'm doing now to how to be able to get to my dream. And this is where, for many of you, if you allow yourself to really open up to the possibilities and you stay in this curious mindset this week, there's a sense here, though, you have to share. There's a sense with the Page of Pentacles that you have to take what you're imagining, and that imagination is directly connecting to the Star. What is that future for yourself? What is that idea that you want to bring into your physical experience? You have to take that imagination, but you have to go out there and physically share it with others. That is the Page of Pentacles. That's kind of getting your hands dirty and saying, this could even be where you have money in the bank and you have to contact a financial advisor to say, my dream is to take this money and eventually one day I want to own a family farm, or one day I want to be able to be financially independent and I want to retire by 60 instead of maybe 65, or I want to retire by 45, however old you are. And this is where you kind of get creative and allow, allow yourself to say, there could be other ways. And the more that you share, the more that you get hands-on, the more that you get out there with whatever you have that you want to grow into something else. Be aware that there are other avenues of support or other avenues of how you could utilize this that will be emotionally fulfilling for you, that will allow you to to get connected to your dreams. So this week for you, Libra, share, get hands-on, imagine that dream vision for yourself, and be open to where love and support might come in to guide the way. Now with Judgment, we have 5 of Wands and 5 of Cups, which is very interesting. Both fives. 5 is the number of, it could be the agent of chaos, but it can also be the agent of change and growth. Now these two cards specifically, 5 of Wands, 5 of Cups, speaks to, 5 of Wands is kind of chaotic energy. This can be the energy of competition. This can be just where like there's so much stuff going on and everybody has a say, and it's just like, that could be a competitive work environment. It could be a competitive or chaotic home environment. This could be where, everybody in your family wants to tell you what to do and you're like, look, couldn't do it my own way. With the 5 of Cups, there's a sense of loss. There's a sense of disappointment, something in the past that was not emotionally supportive, or you invested your emotions into it and it didn't have a turn of event that you were hoping for. And so I think for many of you with Judgment, there's a sense here of there's a release of this, a release of a time that felt chaotic, a release of a past loss or disappointment. And there's a sense now with the 7 of Cups of getting into that energy of, well, what if? There's a real big sense with the Page of Pentacles and the Star of what if. The Page of Pentacles can even be like where you're sitting here saying, I have the home, I have the lifestyle, I just need the perfect partner. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to start telling everybody that I'm ready to start dating again. And suddenly, and I'm going to open myself up. I'm going to get over the past pain of a hurtful relationship that caused chaos in my life. I'm a new person, and I'm going to open myself up to the possibilities because there's a whole world out there, and I could turn over each one of these cups and see that one is way better for me. There's a sense of that coming through very strongly here, Libra. But if it's not pertaining, let's say, to a relationship or to love, this could very much be where you guys have a skill set and you're trying to maybe get out of a highly competitive work environment that maybe was not a very positive experience. And now you get to kind of take that experience to a new level where you're like, I don't have to stay in this industry, but I can take what I'm good at and maybe do something over here. Ultimately, this would be my ideal life experience, including a career. It could be like, I want to work from home and be able to travel and spend more time with my kids and be able to pick up hobbies. But how do I do that with my current skill set where I'm not working 60 hours a week, 9 to 5, tied to an office desk, that kind of thing. So it can go either way for you. If it's relationship, open yourself up to the new, get really into the dream, release whatever was disappointing from the past, and there's an opportunity to bring in to kind of lay the foundation for that new relationship to come in. If it's work related or skill set related, definitely there's a chance here to start to open the door to a new path for yourself and how you can utilize that in a way that isn't going to feel frustrating or chaotic or disappointing. All right, Libra, I will leave it here. I hope you all have a wonderful week ahead, and I look forward to reading for you next week. Bye. Okay, Scorpio. So I'm going to reshuffle the cards here, and we're going to get right in. All right, Scorpio. So let's see what the cards hold for you guys. So the two themes that came up in the shuffle, if you didn't watch the beginning of this reading, were Imagine and Judgment. So we're all being asked this week to really start to imagine as we really become and embrace the new version of ourselves that we were really asked to do so over the past couple weeks, as we start to really say, okay, with Judgment coming in, a certain way I've been or a certain person I was is no longer. This could be where, you've become a new parent and you finally have to come to terms with, I'm never going to be that person who's not a parent. I now have to care for someone else. And I'm going to accept that that's the integral change that's happened in my life. Or it can be where maybe you're moving on from a past relationship, and so you are finding who you are without that other individual in your life. Something along those lines. This is saying it's time to get into the energy of your imagination, to start to imagine a future for this new version of yourself, this stronger, more capable version of yourself that you're being called up as. Okay, so Scorpio, let's see. What are you being asked to imagine this week? Okay, oh, we have Knight of Cups. Great energy. Knight of Cups is Piscean energy. It's the energy of the hopeful romantic. I like to say hopeful, not hopeless. It's the individual who's ready to go out there and share themselves vulnerably with the world. There's a sense of really kind of having those rose-colored glasses on, and saying, I'm going to start. I always see, for me personally, the Knight of Cups as the faithful knight. He's the one that goes out there on the quest, fully with faith that he will achieve what he's looking for. And along the way, he's curious about the people he's going to meet and the friends he's going to make and just the adventure of it all. Now, with the Ace of Swords and the Knight of Cups, there's clarity here. Ace of Swords is that kind of aha moment. There's a sense of really tapping into a truth that is becoming very clear now. And for some of you, that there is a clarity possibly around a Pisces in your life, which is interesting. Maybe there's a sense of maybe imagining a broader future with this person. But it could also be where maybe you're tapping into this vision of yourself, tapping into having faith in life again on a level that maybe you hadn't had previously, like faith in romance, faith in being able to be vulnerable in your life experience and to see where that adventure is going to take you. Okay, so for Judgment, we have the Page of Swords, which is the energy of, see, the Page of Swords and the Six of Swords. Okay, yeah, for many of you, you are moving on from something. The Six of Swords is that card of transcendence. It's also a card of just moving on. It can be a card where we have been maybe wrestling with something for some time. It does denote that possibly what you're moving on from had been difficult. This card speaks to moving from choppy waters to calmer seas. And with the Page of Swords, I think there's a sense here of kind of opening up, being curious as to kind of trying to gain more information as to what you're moving on from, why you're moving on from it. If you're moving on to calmer seas, then what is this new vision? I kind of get this feeling that for many of you in the past cycle, it might have been a little, either A, you weren't able to really allow yourself, the kind of inner hopeful romantic or the faithful knight on his quest, you weren't able to tap into that energy or have that energy, or it was hurt or wounded by somebody in your life. And so there's a sense now of really being able to be curious about, if I choose to transcend and leave that version of myself behind, and the new version that I'm being called up as is now going to be this kind of hopeful romantic, that I'm looking to be vulnerable. I'm looking to embrace life with this kind of softness, with the energy of love. What is that going to bring for me? And again, this could be for some of you, you're just realizing it with clarity that either this is a part of yourself that really, this is the part that is the butterfly that's emerging, or this is the part of you that, you know, again, you had kind of lost or maybe stifled in the past cycle, and you're getting a chance to embrace and really imagine what this new quest of the heart is going to look like for you. But for others, this literally could be that you're having clarity around a Pisces in your life, or someone who embodies this kind of very kind of hopeful, romantic. They always have rose-colored glasses on. They see the best in people. And there could be a clarity around that for you, around someone in your life who embodies that, or even around that within your own self, again, that you're hoping to unlock and unleash this, or hoping to unlock and allow to come forward this week and maybe to come. I always love the Six of Swords coming in there, because there is that sense of finally transcending that limitation, finally transcending that event that held you back, that had your heart maybe closed off or wasn't allowing you to go on this faithful quest. But it could also be that there's maybe just healing around a Pisces in your life, or healing around someone, again, who embodies this energy. All right, I will leave it there. I hope you all have a wonderful week ahead, Scorpio, and I look forward to reading for you next week. Bye. Okay, Sagittarius. So we are going to jump in here. And I'm going to pull some clarifiers now for the 2 cards that came out in the collective read. If you didn't watch that, the 2 cards that came out were Imagine and Judgment. So we're really being called this week to be called up as the new version of ourselves that we're being asked to embrace, and allowing that old version of ourselves that unfortunately we have to release, allowing that part of ourselves to truly be released so that we can start to imagine the future for the new us. Okay, so Sagittarius. What does Sagittarius need to know about imagining? What are they imagining for themselves? Okay, so we have the Queen of Swords. And we have, interesting, the Hanged Man. Okay, so for many of you, you are kind of doing a life review. You're imagining your story differently. I think many of you are seeing your story differently suddenly. Meaning that the Queen of Swords she's the individual who she knows her own story and she speaks it. What does that mean? When we know our own story, this is how if someone was to meet you for the first time and they're like, hey, like, tell me about yourself. Well, we all have a story about ourselves that we kind of jump right to. You know, we can sit there and say, oh, you know, I've had a difficult time over the past few years. I've, you know, moved home 5 times and I always seem to be unlucky in love, you know, that kind of thing. Like how do you share of yourself? Now, last week we were all asked to really release an old unsupportive story that we've long kind of associated ourselves with, and we're asked to really embrace a new story, a fresh version of that. And I think for you, Sagittarius, you really are taking this to heart, and this week you are kind of laying that foundation for seeing this new. The Hanged Man speaks to seeing something from a new perspective. You're really starting to see your story. And I think also seeing how you tell your story in a new way. There's a sense here of really saying, you know, I've always said this about myself. But now I realize when I say that, it maybe doesn't come across so positively, or maybe I don't want to share that anymore because it doesn't hold true to me. I have a new perspective in my life, and so I'm not going to keep sharing a story that paints me as a victim because I don't feel like a victim anymore. So there's that sense here of now getting into that place of imagining, well, if I'm not a victim anymore and I'm the hero, well then, you know, how am I going to start to share that with others? How am I going to start to speak to that? Now with Judgment, we have King of Cups and Strength. This is, for some of you, this could actually be that you're becoming a parent, especially for those of you who are masculine and you want to become a father. But there's also a sense here for some of you, if for those of you who wanted to follow maybe a spiritual vocation, this could be it. King of Cups can be seen as a spiritual advisor. This is someone who is very grounded in their emotions. They are emotionally mature and stable. It is the energy of Scorpio. So for some of you, there could be you know, a sense you might have Scorpio in your chart and you're being asked to really have the strength to embrace this part of yourself. It could also be where, when we think of the energy of the King of Cups, this is the individual who is going to lead from his emotions, but he's not going to allow his emotions to lead him, if that makes sense. He feels, he understands, he processes, he integrates, and then he takes action from where he chooses to, what he feels. But he's not going to allow his feelings to just come up and override him. And that's really where Strength comes in. Strength is the card of really understanding that we each have an animal within ourselves that we have to learn how to kind of keep back and tame through grace. There's also a feeling with Strength of having that courage to actually embrace this part of yourself. So for some of you, there could be having the courage again, because the King of Cups can represent a spiritual advisor because he's so tapped into his intuition. He's so tapped in, as you can see in this image, so tapped into what he feels that he can use that as his guide. And it's saying have the courage to either trust your intuition and to embody this energy. And for some of you who are going into a spiritual vocation, trust the feeling, trust the calling, have courage to feel your way forward, especially with Judgment coming in, especially with having to release an old version of yourself as you move into the new. It's saying trust what your intuition is telling you. But more specifically, for those of you who do want to kind of have a heightened spiritual vocation, or you do want to go into maybe teaching on a spiritual level, this is definitely saying have the courage to do that. Again, Hanged Man, Queen of Swords, you might be realizing a version of your story now. You see it from a different perspective, and that might be saying, I actually have something that I want to teach to others at this point. But it could also just be that you're seeing your story from a new perspective, and that's changing everything for yourself. Interesting energy, Sagittarius. I hope you have a good week ahead. I'm going to leave it there, but I will see you next week for your next collective reading. All right, bye, everyone. Okay, Capricorn. So we are going to look at, I'm actually going to take a drink of water here. All right. So we are going to look at the two themes that came up in the general collective at the beginning of this reading. If you didn't already see it, we had Imagine and we had Judgment. So this week we are all being asked to continue on that journey of the new version of ourselves, the one that we really were forced to face last week, the part of ourselves that needed to be released, and the new story we want to write for ourselves starting now. And with Judgment coming in, there's a finality to Judgment. There's a finality that says some part of ourself has integrally been changed, and we can't go back to that old version anymore. We have to embrace the new version. Okay, so we had two cards come out, which was interesting. So we had Ace of Cups, which came out upright, and on the floor, the Devil came out face or reversed. Now, I don't normally read reversals. I don't put them in my deck, but when they come out like that, I will include them. It's a pointed message. So for many of you, for Imagine, there's a sense here of imagining what it would be like to be, it's kind of interesting to say it, but to be released through love. Now, the Devil is the thing that holds us back. It's the thing that we chain ourselves to. This could be a person. This could be a way of being. This could be a intoxicating habit. This could be a workplace, a career path we don't like, but we chain ourselves to it. And with the Ace of Cups, this is love. This is a fresh connection to love, and a fresh connection also to your soul. That has the power to release you from the Devil. Very powerful this week, Capricorn. It's probably the most powerful message that's come through, and I'm just feeling it very strongly and intuitively. Many of you have the power to release yourself from something that has, I think, long held some power over you or has held you back in some way, and it is love that is guiding the way. It is love that is breaking those chains. And I almost want to cry. This is such beautiful energy, Capricorn. Powerful, powerful energy. Okay, so let's see what's going on with Judgment. What is this? Integral. Ooh, yeah, wow. And I can see why. So we have Eight of Cups and the Fool. This is truly, Eight of Cups is finally walking away from something that is no longer emotionally fulfilling, and the Fool is taking that first leap into the unknown, into the brand new chapter. It is the number 0, or the concept of 0 in tarot, and so it is like the clean slate. It is the fresh start. It is finally saying, with the Eight of Cups, I can keep pouring into this cup, but I know that I've poured 8 cups and it still isn't fulfilling. It's still not what I was hoping for, and yet I can move on. I can take my cup and be met by another cup. And it's that love, it's that realization that we always hold our cup. We always hold the cup of our needs, our love, the dreams we want to have fulfilled, and it's always there for us. But there's a sense here of, I think, finally embracing and starting a new chapter where you're leaning into love. You're leaning into this fresh connection. What's interesting as well is with the Devil, this is actually your energy, Capricorn, in the tarot. And so there's a sense here of maybe even releasing yourself from the tendencies that come with the the strengths of your sign, which are sometimes you can be unrelenting in wanting to achieve a goal. Sometimes you can overwork yourself. You can be so focused on the details in achieving something that you don't focus on love, and realizing that, and connection as well, that love and connection are the things that ultimately, again, they are the most powerful things that can break the chains of things that hold us back. But that also, we can't just continually be trying to forge up the mountain. We have to enjoy the journey. And so there's a sense of that coming through here for many of you. And there's definitely a new journey starting. Eight of Cups. Eight of Cups doesn't always have to be walking away from, let's say, a job, or walking away from, a relationship or something like that. The Eight of Cups can even be walking away from a belief, a mindset in yourself. This could be like Eight of Cups could say, you've emotionally invested a lot of time and energy into believing that you're never going to make money, and you're never going to, have all your bills met, and you're always going to be down and out. And this is saying you can walk away from that. You don't have to keep pouring your emotions and your, emotional stress into that. You can take the leap towards a new version, where you are financially successful, where you have all your bills met, and where you get to just share love with other people. And that's enough. So imagine what love can break for you. What bond can love truly be able to release you from, that has long held you back from wanting to make this new start here? Beautiful energy. Imagine what love can do. Imagine feeling refreshed. Imagine what a new start, clearing the slates, would look like for you. All right, Capricorn, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you all have a wonderful week ahead, and I will see you next week. Bye. Okay, so Aquarius. Let's see here what's coming in for you this week. What does Aquarius need to know? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Aquarius. I'm like getting ahead of myself. What does Aquarius need to know for the week ahead? Sorry, guys. So the two cards that came out were Imagine and Judgment. For those of you who didn't see the original card pool at the beginning here. Now, the Judgment really speaks to that version of ourselves that we're being asked to release. It's like, this is the week to say, finally, that version of us is no more. And we're being asked to embrace the new version, the new, more empowered version, the version who now has a new future. And we're all being asked to, again, imagine what that future looks like for ourselves. Okay, I'm just seeing if any other cards want to come out before I start your reading. So for Imagine, we had Ace of Pentacles. So I'm just going to leave it here. Ace of Pentacles and Ten of Swords. For many of you, there is an opportunity coming in that will finally allow you to release a very difficult time period in your life. This is also a very powerful week for you guys. There was a really powerful message for Capricorn right before your reading here. And I get the feeling too for you, Aquarius, it's kind of the same thing. There's a sense of the Ace of Pentacles. There's a true opportunity for a fresh start, and it's tangible. And this new opportunity is going to have you finally release the pain of a past experience or a past time frame that was very difficult. The Ten of Swords speaks to being brought to your knees, or speaks to having to go through a very, again, difficult period in your life. But now you get the chance, a fresh seed for a new start. And Judgment speaks to, we have the Three of Swords that are coming in for that. So there's a sense here of, with the old version of yourself being released, there was a very painful period associated with that old version. And this is a part of yourself that you're being asked to release. This part that has the wounding tied to it, whether it's the wounding from a past failed relationship, whether it's the wounding around, it could be anything. A time period where you lost your job, or your career path ended, or you had a sick family member. But there's something here that was tied to pain, and you have a new start to be able to move on from that. And this Ace is here. And it's, if you choose to take this ace and really imagine where that little seed can grow into it, it's one that will really finally allow you to say, that period of my life is done. I get to move on, and I'm still here. And now I have the opportunity for a whole new cycle to begin for myself. Beautiful energy, Aquarius. I really hope you embrace it. And I wish you all a wonderful week ahead. If you'd like to book a personal reading, you can always do so by clicking on the link in the description box below. But I will see you next week. Bye, Aquarius. Okay, Pisces, we're going to jump right in here and see what the week holds for you. So we have Imagine and Judgment. All right, so Imagine really spoke to us, finally imagining a new vision for this new version of ourselves that's emerging. That's really what Judgment speaks to. This is a card that says the old version of ourselves has gone away. We have to release that version. An integral change has taken place in who we are, and it's time to embrace the new version of ourselves that is here. All right, so we have the Six of Wands. I love that. Imagine success and recognition. Let's see what else is coming forward here, Pisces. So yeah, it's really saying, imagine what does your new version of success look like? So if you're a new person or something has changed in your life, what is that new vision for success? What do you want to receive recognition for in this current experience? Now, the Two of Swords and Six of Wands, that can speak to having a lack of clarity around. The Two of Swords can be where we are trying to make a decision and we can't see a way forward. There could be a sense here for some of you where you're kind of a little confused, which would make sense. You're like, I don't know. I want to be seen as this, but I also want to be seen as that. So there could be a little bit of that coming through. Let's see what comes forward for Judgment. Okay. Ooh, I love it. Judgment, we have Strength and Queen of Wands. This really speaks to having the strength to show your passion, to show your power. For many of you, this may be a time frame where you're being asked to really bloom where you're planted. That is a theme that always comes up with the Queen of Wands for me. She is someone that no matter where she is, there she is. She is not going to hide any part of herself. She is going to show up in whatever way makes her stand out from the crowd. She is going to use her magic to grow sunflowers in the middle of a barren desert because that's what she wants at the time. She is blooming where she's planted. So there's something here about tapping into your passions, your creativity, really showing yourself authentically, showing up, especially with Strength card coming in, showing up no matter where you are as yourself, as your authentic, powerful self. There's a sense of stepping into your power. But that might feel a little scared because that might mean you actually have to be in the spotlight. So there is something here, Pisces, about, I think where the indecision is coming from is it's almost like, do you or don't you want to be seen? And this is saying it's time to embrace being seen. It's time to embrace your power. It's time to show others what you're capable of. The Queen of Wands can really speak to me personally to the witch archetype in the tarot. And so there's a sense here of almost having like a magical power or a part of yourself that would naturally attract or be a skill set that would make something look like it's magically growing in where you are. And yet maybe you've been hiding it. Maybe there's a part of yourself that in the past, maybe someone told you that part of yourself was too much and so you hid it. Or maybe this could be something where some of you want to be seen on social media, or you want to you want to publish that book, but there's that sense of like having to be seen and not knowing if that's what you want. So I'd say this week, to help you through this kind of indecision of should I be seen or not, have strength, have courage. You're a new version of yourself. And in this new version of yourself, it's meant to be seen. But really ask yourself, when you think about imagine a life where you literally get to shine at your brightest, where you get to just be authentically you every day in whatever way that looks like. And that might kind of give you, again, that courage as to making that decision, it's, to say it's finally time for me to be seen. It's finally time for me to come out. This could even be for some of you coming out of the closet in whatever capacity that plays in your life. But this is the week to really get into that place of, okay, it's time. All right, I will leave it there, Pisces. I hope you all have a wonderful week ahead, and I look forward to reading for you next week. Okay, so Aries, let's see what's coming in for you. What does Aries need to know for the week ahead? We have Imagine and Judgment. Okay, so for Imagine, so we're all being asked this week to imagine what the new version of ourselves can achieve or create. Because with Judgment coming in, Judgment really speaks to us having to release an old version of ourselves and embrace the new, because we've all gone through an integral change. Now with Imagine, you have Nine of Wands. So right off the bat, Aries, this is about imagining a experience or an existence where you are not overburdened, where you are not the weary, wounded warrior who has to keep going even though you're exhausted. There's a sense of imagine yourself without being the victim, or imagine yourself without having all the stress of having to do everything, or without being burned out. And then we have the Moon. The Moon is a card that states the way is unclear. There's a sense here of kind of opening yourself up almost to like the infinite possibilities, but there's also a sense of heeding the call. The Moon asks, can you walk a path on faith? It's where we sometimes kind of feel that intuitive, like the pull of the moon, right? That pulls the tides. There's that sense of feeling that intuitive pull to go on a new journey, or to go in a new direction, or to go out of a comfort zone. And I think for some of you, that comfort zone is actually maybe where you have long felt like you had to be the workhorse, or where, it's almost like sometimes we can get to that place of like, well, I'm always just going to have to be the one that's stressed out. I'm always going to have to be the one that's burned out at work. I'm always going to be the one who has to fight everybody's battles for them. There's a sense of, well, what if you weren't that person? And if that's the case, then what would you be feeling called to move into that wouldn't have you feeling that way? So with Judgment, we have Eight of Wands. I love that. It means fast forward movement. So this new version of yourself is coming in kind of hot and heavy. And then we have Four of Pentacles, Five of Swords, and Nine of Swords. So Four of Pentacles is where you're holding yourself back. Five of Swords is where you don't want to see the truth, or you don't want to hear other people's opinions. And the Nine of Swords is worry. So there's something here around, I think, for many of you, there is a holding back of something physical. Four of Pentacles is where we are either we're withholding our time, energy, money, or some other resource. And with the Eight of Wands, it's almost like there's opportunities coming in. This is fast movement. This is saying, here we go. And you're like, no, I'm not going to do that. And there's a sense of maybe for some of you, the fear could be around, again, not wanting to release the old version of yourself that maybe was, again, tied directly to always having to be in a cycle where you are exhausted, burned out, having to, again, take action where others will not. And now it's saying, well, where can you get into that place of, yeah, the way is going to be unclear, but how can you imagine a new vision for your life experience where you aren't the burned out one, where you aren't the one that's stressed, where you aren't the one, where instead you're moving in flow? Eight of Wands speaks to moving in flow as well. This can be where things are all just coming together and there's all these things happening, but you have every opportunity to manage them and to kind of just go with them. And yet there's something here where you're holding yourself back. And again, the Five of Swords is where we're kind of spiritually putting our fingers in our ears and saying, I don't want to see that. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to. And yet there's this, it's causing you to really be in a state of anxiety. It's causing you to really overthink and worry. And I think there's a time, it's almost like I get for some of you that there's like maybe a new work opportunity, maybe even a new home life opportunity, something along these lines where you're like holding back for fear that it will turn into something in the last cycle where it got heavy, it got overburdened. This would be like saying like, hey, maybe you get an opportunity with the Eight of Wands to level up at work, and you're like, I don't want to take that promotion because I've been trying to not. This would almost be like staying under the radar of like being called up to be a manager because 2 jobs ago you had managed for 10 years and you got so burned out, and it was so, you're like, I'm never going to be responsible for managing other people again. And yet now you're at that point where this is part of the new vision for yourself. This is the new you. You've grown past that. You learned your lesson in the past, in that cycle of how to manage others effectively, but how also not to maybe burn yourself out. And now if you take this opportunity, it's actually going to maybe show you that, yes, you can actually be a fantastic leader of people, but it doesn't have to end up being where you do everything or where you get burned out. So there's a sense here of maybe where some of you are holding yourself back for fear that it will repeat a past cycle. Have faith. That's what the moon says. Have faith that the way is unclear right now for you, but you're feeling the call and an opportunity is coming in, and have faith that now is the right time. Now is the right time to do it again, whether now it's the right time to commit in love. Maybe now it's, where maybe you had a really difficult relationship in the past, but now it's the time. And really rely on what you've learned about yourself and lean into it. Whatever that is, Aries, lean into it. Okay, I will leave it there. I hope you all have a wonderful week ahead, and I look forward to reading for you next week, Aries. Bye. Okay, so Taurus, what does Taurus need to know about this week ahead? So the 2 themes that came up in the beginning of this reading were imagine and judgment. So imagine really is asking us with judgment to really take a look at and embrace. Oh, sorry guys, I have my cards reversed here. Actually, what did I just do? There we go. Let's get them all correctly lined. Okay. So judgment is really speaking to the fact that we've all gone through an integral change. Something within us, within our life experience has changed, making us a new version of who we are. And this is the week where we really get to embrace that new version. We get to start imagining a future for this new version of ourselves. So let's see what's coming in for Taurus. Taurus, what do you need to know about imagine? Okay, we have 10 of Wands. Yes, imagine a world where you don't have to do it all. And then we have 9 of Swords and Knight of Swords. Yes. I think for many of you, there's a sense here with the 10 of Wands coming in that it's time to put down a burden you've long carried, and a burden where you felt like you had to be the one to do everything yourself alone. And with the 9 of Swords and the Knight of Swords, talks to fear of wanting to share that, fear of saying, I want to put this burden down. I don't want to do this anymore. There's a sense of, this could be anything. This could be literally where, for some of you, it could literally be sharing with your significant other, like, hey, I can't keep at this job that I hate. It's soul sucking. And yes, I know I'm the breadwinner, but I can't do it anymore. We have to take a risk. I have to move on to a new job, or I have to cut back on my hours. There's something like that coming through, and you're being asked to really embrace what that is for you. Because with judgment, we have Knight of Cups and 9 of Wands. 2 very different energies. The 9 of Wands is, I am a weary, wounded warrior. And I'm burned out and I'm exhausted and I've had to fight so many fights and go so long. And yet here's the Knight of Cups, who's this beautiful, hopeless romantic. He's someone who wants to go on that romantic quest. He shares of himself vulnerably. And I think for many of you, the Judgment card speaks to where you felt burned out or overburdened in love. Or where maybe you kept approaching things with this optimistic vision, where you were the hopeful romantic, and then you got burned. And then you had to keep going. And then maybe it happened again. So there's a sense here of really allowing yourself, Taurus, to get out of a cycle where you had to take everything on yourself to where you got burned out, whether this is, again, in love, in relationships, because that can obviously happen. We can get overburdened in relationships very easily, or in work. So if this is something in your work life where you were taking on more than your share, or you were kind of trying to do everything, this can be like where we want to be the super mom or the super dad, where I get to work full time and I'm the wonderful involved parent, and I have to, clean my house and cook dinner and make sure everybody gets a fresh meal. This is something here saying there's the new version of yourself emerging. This is a new version where you get to embrace the King of Cups again, where you get to get rid of the Nine of Wands associated with kind of seeing with rose-colored glasses. You get to release the Nine of Wands with that. There's a sense here of going back out in life with, it's almost like saying, really what's coming through here is it's time to share with someone in your life, or with your boss or somebody. It's time to share that it's time for you to put down this burden. 10 of Wands also speaks to closing a cycle that has become burdensome. Knight of Cups, Nine of Wands. There's a sense here of finally releasing a cycle where you couldn't just let this version of yourself be openly there. This kind of authentic, vulnerable, I'm holding my cup, here's my heart on my sleeve, and where that kept bringing in the Nine of Wands feeling, which is, every time I get hurt, or every time I approach this with this kind of innocent naivete, I get burned. There's a sense here of allowing that part of your experience to go away. You're a new version of yourself, and it's time now to really hold that part of yourself, honor that part of yourself, to where if things do feel burdensome, it's time for you to speak to that and say, I can't carry this burden all myself. And it's time for a change, because I'm a new version. And I want to start going on that faithful romantic quest again. I always look at that, this knight. He is the faithful knight going out on that romantic quest to achieve something or to find the love of his life, whatever it is. So for some of you, it's time to put down the burden that is preventing you from going out on that quest. And this new cycle is the quest of the faithful romantic. All right. Bye, Taurus. I hope you all have a wonderful week ahead, and look forward to reading for you next week. Okay, so Gemini. Sorry, Gemini, I had to step away for just a second there, but I'm back. All right, so we are looking at the two themes that came out at the beginning of this reading, which were Imagine and Judgment. So Judgment really speaks to all of us having gone through some type of very integral change in who we are. And so we're being asked this week to really release that past version of ourselves, which can no longer be because something has changed for us. And so we're being asked also to imagine a new future for this new version of ourselves. What's that going to look like? So let's see, Gemini, what you are being asked to imagine. Oh, you have the same card that just came out for Taurus. So for some of you, you might be dealing with a Taurus in your life. You might have that energy or a lot of that placement in your chart. So you might want to look at the Taurus reading as well. But you have 10 of Wands, and then we have the 3 of Wands and Strength. So this is asking you, there's a burden in your life where it's time to put it down. And how can you imagine what it would be like if you put that burden down? 3 of Wands and Strength. This says, have the courage to look to the future. Have the courage to look for other opportunities as well. Keep your eyes to the horizon. It's going to also say, for some of you who maybe there has been an opportunity that has come in, to really have the courage to embrace this new opportunity that's really going to allow you, again, with being able to put down something that has become very much a burden in your life, and where in this next cycle and this new version of yourself, you're not going to have to carry that burden alone anymore, like you see here with this individual. Okay, so let's take a look at Judgment. What does Gemini need to know about Judgment? Okay, so we have the 2 of Pentacles. There's a sense of juggling. For many of you, you might have felt like you were just kind of dealing with the day-to-day. Ooh, that's way too many cards that came up. Sorry, guys, that was kind of messy. I'm going to just see if something else wants to come out. It's a little more clear. So 2 of Pentacles, that's one where you're kind of just juggling the day to day. I see now. Two of Pentacles and the Star. Yeah, for many of you, you have been, I think, you've been in a cycle where you weren't able to really choose or prioritize your star. The Two of Pentacles can ask us, like when we're just juggling our day to day, at a certain point, we're going to have to prioritize what we want or what we have some type of investment in. And the Star really speaks to us seeing so if you are just juggling your day to day, having that deeper connection to that guiding principle, that guiding dream, that thing that just pulls at your heart that you would love to experience in this lifetime. There's a sense now of maybe in the past you had juggled that or juggled with being able to prioritize that in your life. Maybe you had kind of gotten a little off focus. And this is a beautiful new cycle for where you get a chance to prioritize your star and bringing that into the experience. And in order to do that, it's time to release a burden you've long carried or something in your life that has become a very heavy burden. And you get to have the courage to look for those new opportunities. There's a sense here this week of really keeping your eyes to the horizon or having the courage to take and really run with an opportunity that has come in for you and which is directly allowing you to prioritize building towards this dream. I really like this for you, Gemini. I hope you all have a wonderful week ahead. We're keeping these short and sweet this week, but I will see you all next week for your next illumination reading. Bye, Gemini. Okay, so Cancer, last but not least, let's see what the week holds for you guys. What does Cancer need to know for the week ahead? So now the two themes that came up were imagine and judgment. So there's a sense here of all of us getting to a place this week of imagining what this new version of ourselves, or judgment kind of implies that we've all had to release a past version of ourselves. We're now embracing this new version, and we're starting to imagine a new future for ourselves. So we have Five of Swords, which for some of you is, I like it. I think for some of you, this is the week where you're finally seeing something from a new perspective, where you're seeing where you have kind of long been spiritually putting your fingers in your ears and saying, no, 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 I can't do that. I don't want to see that. Don't tell me that. Don't want to hear it. And you're finally seeing it from a new perspective. So there's a sense here of, for many of you this week, you're getting a chance to see where you've kind of blocked yourself from, I think, allowing what wants to come in, or blocking yourself from really stepping into that place of imagining something bigger and greater for you. This can be where sometimes, we really do want something, but we are in a place of almost sometimes when we think about it in relationship to having to release an old version of ourselves versus really embracing the new version of who we are. There's a sense of maintaining what supported the old version. And so we sit there and say, well, yeah, well, it's always been this way. So I could never imagine being this or doing it like that, because that old version of yourself, that's how they did it or how they would never do it. But now you're a new version. And there's a sense here of, opening yourself up. The Five of Swords is where someone doesn't want to hear other people's opinions. It's where this individual wants to win at all cost. This can be the person who only wants to give their opinion and again, doesn't want to hear anything. But it can also just be where this individual is just in a continual state of, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. This is the truth. And that's just the way it is. And it's like, but now I think you're seeing there's a different way, or there's a new truth, or this is where I've been really preventing myself from seeing that there is a whole new door opening for me. Because you do also have Nine of Pentacles and King of Swords for judgment. So the King of Swords really speaks to someone who is, he knows what he knows. He's very firm in what he's learned. He is fair. He's balanced. He can offer a fair judgment and assessment. And the Nine of Pentacles speaks to a level of comfort and stability. It can be even financial independence that you have in the physical. But there may be something here with judgment where maybe the one thing that there could be a sense here of, with the King of Pentacles, of being almost too much in the energy of, I know what I know. This could actually be for some of you where it's like the King of Swords could be a judge. The King of Swords could be a financial advisor, something like that. Somebody you'd go to ask their opinion on a very important matter. And there may be a sense here, I'm trying to I feel like it's kind of like the message is there, but like I can't put my finger on it. There's a sense with the King of Swords coming in that for some of you, there may be, how can I put this? Either there's an assessment of what you have in the physical, and maybe your assessment is incorrect. And it's like it's hard for me to actually put this into words, which I don't normally experience. But there's a sense here where I think there's either A, you have more abundance or more at your disposal than you think. And there's a sense here of like not wanting to lean into how you can enjoy that, how you could invest it, how you could capitalize on it. Because maybe you've always been in a state where you didn't have enough. And so there's a sense here of, it's like someone trying to come in and be very clear as to say like, well, no, you have quite a bit. You have more than enough to achieve what you're looking for. And you're like, no, 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 no. I still have to keep saving, or no, 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 no. This can also be that for some of you who, let's say, maybe want to be a teacher or someone who imparts their knowledge. So the King of Swords can be someone who is seen, again, as very knowledgeable in whatever field he's in. And the Nine of Pentacles could be, becoming financially independent from that, becoming a teacher, becoming a consultant, something along those lines. And you're like, no, I can't even go there. Like, be a teacher? Like, no, that's not going to happen. And this is saying you in the past cycle became an expert in something, Cancer. And there's a certain level of physical abundance that can come in if you capitalize on what you know, on your knowledge. But you have to let yourself imagine what that could be, to lean into seeing it from a new perspective and maybe not fighting. This could be like where you've been in a career path for so long and finally, somebody's like, just go out and be a consultant. You can make twice as much money and you could work literally like half the time. And you're like, no, I can't. That's too crazy. Like this, just being in this job is crazy enough. And I don't know enough. Like I couldn't ask to charge that much. No one's going to pay that. And this is saying, well, Cancer, this is a new version for yourself. I think for many of you, it's either A, you realize that you're being asked to teach, or you're being asked to really impart your knowledge and to make money from that in a new way. Or you are having someone come in and say, like, without a doubt, my fair judgment is you have more than enough to do this. And you're like, but no, but I can't. And it's saying, yeah, you can. You're good. You can take that sabbatical. You can take that year off. You've got enough saved. Or yeah, you can retire at 45, and you're 45. So, it's like one of those kinds of things. Or yeah, you have enough to buy that house. And you're like, no, not the right time. And it's like, no, you're good. There's a sense here of saying, no, you're good. You're good to either teach and capitalize on with your skill set, and that's the next cycle for yourself, is like one of a teacher, a mentor, someone who imparts knowledge, and to almost kind of go out on your own. Or this is one where you're being told that whatever resources you've been saving towards or trying to have kind of as like maybe a buffer, you're good. All right, I will leave it there, Cancer. I'm glad I finally got around to being able to express that. I hope you all have a wonderful week ahead, and I look forward to reading for you next week. Bye, Cancer.